Hi, friends. I'm Emily Lay, and you're listening to the Simplified podcast. If you're looking for a quiet place where you can filter out the noise and the hustle, this is it. Every week, I invite you to slow down and join me to explore practical ways to organize and automate the complicated parts of life so you can focus on what truly matters most. Well, it has been a fun whirlwind of a week since my first children's book, You're Always Enough, finally hit the shelves and made its way into your homes. Thank you so much for supporting this book. It means so much to me, and I have been so touched to see so many of you reading it to your kids or taking it to church or preschool or camp. If you haven't gotten your copy yet, you can find You're Always Enough at your favorite book retailer or library today. One of the things we talk about a lot on this show is building a life we love. Why do we talk about that so much? I think it's because that's the point of it all, right? To figure out what matters to us and who matters to us so we can do good work that impacts our little corner of the world. And a big part of building a life we love is believing in ourselves. It means taking the dreams we have in our hearts and putting them into action. Let me ask you something. If you could do anything in this world and it was guaranteed to succeed, what would you do? Let me ask you a second question. How does the second part of that question, the guaranteed success thing, impact the way you live and move through the world right now? I have a friend who worked as a business manager with a New York Times bestselling author. Years before that, my friend had worked in the publishing world. A mutual friend set her up on a coffee date for her and the author. Because of her skills and experience, my friend determined she was a perfect match for the job and began to chart her plans to help the author build her business. But what my friend learned years later was that their coffee date was actually a job interview. The author had just met with someone from Connie Britton's team prior to the coffee date/interview. I asked my friend how knowing she was on an interview would have changed how she approached the job. I would have been completely weird and nervous, she said, because that's how I get with interviews. I feel like there's so much at stake, and I'm 100% conscious of that during the interview too. I feel like my nerves completely show through those situations, but I thought I had this job, so I wasn't nervous at all. I was in let's take charge and make plans mode. I was already doing the job I thought I had. What would we do if we didn't think we would fail? If we acted like the result we're looking for isn't a what if I do the thing, but actually a when I do the thing? My guest today is really good at saying when I do the thing, and she's also really great at helping other people say that to their own dreams as well. Jenna Kutcher is a Minnesota wife, mom, and entrepreneur who aims for two things every single day. She wants to help others wake up to life while staying in comfy pants. A decade ago, Jenna decided to leave her corporate job and go all in on her dream to be a wedding photographer. Since then, she's helped thousands of women redefine success and chase bold dreams through her social channels and her wildly popular podcast, the Gold Digger Podcast. I love Jenna's story because she's not just a hustle harder no matter what kind of girl. She understands that chasing a dream doesn't mean the path is going to be a straight arrow forward. She knows it can take all kinds of twists and turns, and that you can chase your dream, however slowly or quickly, with your people by your side. I've watched her build her business and her family with a grit and authenticity that's really hard to come by these days. She's just written a brand new book called How Are You Really? And I can't wait to talk to her more about it because if you're wanting to chase a dream, but you don't know where to start, or you're in the middle of chasing one and you're completely stuck, this is the guide for you. I can't wait to share this conversation with you. So with that, here is my chat with entrepreneur Jenna Kutcher. Oh my goodness, Jenna, hi!
Hi. Okay. It
Hi.
has been a hot minute in the term of like 3 years, but I am so
really has.
excited to sit with you today.
I am so excited as well. I was just saying, like, it's so cool to interview someone who does their own podcast because you just sound
Yes.
amazing.
We
My
know what we're
producers
doing.
are going to be like,
surprisingly.
oh, we love her.
Oh.
Wow. So you are, okay, first of all, let me back up like 10,000 feet. So many of our listeners here, they know you and they love you. But for anyone who is not as familiar, I know they'll be so inspired by your journey because I am. So just give us like the 40,000 foot view of the journey you've been on for the past 10 years. How did you start building this career, this life that you really love? And what does it all look like right now?
Oh yeah, I love that. I love that you mentioned 10 years because it has been a decade. So when people talk about overnight success, I think it's over decade success. Um,
Amen. Amen.
but I found myself in corporate America like most people do if they're fortunate enough to get a job out of college, and
Yeah.
I hated it.
Same.
And I got my 5-year plan served to me, and I wanted to hand in my 2 weeks notice right then and there, but I wasn't sure what I would do. And I lacked creativity in every facet of my life in the corporate world. And so I ended up buying a camera and I taught myself how to use it and became a wedding photographer. So I burned the candle on both ends while working that corporate job to build up a business that allowed me to leave. I love your dog right now.
Oh
Oh my
my
gosh.
gosh. I was
Hi.
just talking to our producers and I was like,
Yeah.
listen, Walter's in the back of the poor guy is like, can I just leave this room? And I'm like, no, because
Yeah.
you will chew
No, you
everything in
cannot.
my house. No,
Yeah.
you cannot.
No.
No.
um, so I became a wedding photographer and had a really, really successful career at that. But again, found myself at a crossroads of, do I want to trade time for money for the rest of my life? Do I want to be
Yeah.
committed on weekends for the rest of my life? And so I've had a lot of pivots in my career that have led me to where I am, which is a podcaster and now an author. And so much of my life has been around entrepreneurship, but not just the art of running a business, about how
Yeah.
entrepreneurship can really provide freedom and a life that gives you choice and gives you the ability to live your life and enjoy it. And so that's kind of where we're at today.
I love that. You and I have been on similar trajectories. I feel like we got started around the same time.
Yes.
And it's so funny. Like, you think, I will start my own business so that I can leave this job where I work 40, 60 hours a week so that I can work less. And then you're like, wait, and now I'm working
JK.
100 hours a week. And so, but, you do, and you have to, and you grind and you use all the grit you have and you put in so much time. But at a certain point, you have to remember why you got into whatever it is you're doing in the first place. And I think what's so beautiful about what you have done and are doing is, and I saw this on your Instagram last night, you believe in blending more than balancing.
Yes.
And I loved the picture of you with your baby, when you're wearing the baby and you're speaking. And I was like,
Yeah.
this is me. Like, I'm
Yeah.
hosting a book signing tonight and it's being hosted by my 11-year-old because that's
Yes.
just what we get to do. And it
Yes.
is so much fun. So I think you're an amazing
Yeah.
model for
Oh,
that. Well, so
thank
many
you.
people want to make a difference. They want to build, a beautiful family. Some people want to build companies and brands with impact, but they're just not sure where to start. So, how did you
Mhm.
figure out what you wanted for yourself, for your family, for your business? I mean, I don't know about you, but I feel like sometimes there are just so many things that we could do. And
Yes.
unless you have that like
Yes.
arrow, idea or thing that's like, this is it, this is what I'm going to do, the choices and the number of them can be paralyzing. So,
Yeah.
what advice do you have for someone that's in that position?
I love that question because I think a lot of times the information that we're told is like, just pursue your passions. And
Yeah.
sometimes people are like, what am I even passionate about? And I feel like there have been so many crossroads where, life or circumstance or work has really stolen my creativity and like
Mhm.
that passion of like, I don't even know what to pursue because I'm so burnt out, or I don't even
Yeah.
know what lights me up anymore. And so, one thing that I think isn't talked about enough is that, of course, if you have a passion, go out and pursue it. But if you don't even know where to begin with that, maybe start paying attention to the things you don't want. And so,
Mm.
something that I think has been really interesting on my journey is that just as much as my passions have led me when I've allowed them to, I've also been led and guided on the path by realizing, ooh, this didn't feel good, or ooh,
Yeah.
that doesn't sound appealing, or oh, I thought this would feel different than it feels. And maybe I wasn't reaching for the right goal. And so I feel like there are two camps of people: the really passionate people who are like, oh, let me lace up my shoes and get running. And then
Yeah.
the people who are like, I have no idea where to begin. And one of the things that I talk about in my book that I just love is that it's these micro actions. I think that we are in this really interesting era, specifically as ambitious women, where we're almost feeling forced to choose one of two camps. The camps are either hustle culture, like wake up earlier, work more, do more, don't sign off, always be available, say yes to everything.
Yeah.
And the manifestors, the people who are like, just speak the dream into the existence and the universe will bring it down for you. And I live in the middle. I live in the gray area where I
Yep.
want to hold these visions of what I want for my life, but I'm also willing to do the work to get them. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that this gray area is the area that is the most beautiful place to live because it allows us to really be present and awake during the journey. Because we have been through this where it's like you set this audacious goal and you hate the journey and you recognize that the goal is only 2% of it. Like achieving that thing is such a micro small moment that if you're not enjoying the journey, you're missing the whole ride. And
Yeah.
so I love living in the middle because it really gives us kind of that blend that we were referencing of enjoying the process, enjoying the path, and
Mm-hmm.
also being awake to the fact that when you achieve something, when you arrive at a place that you've been working towards, that you're awake to it enough to enjoy it.
That is so true. And I feel like sometimes it's so easy to get caught up in like one day, like when I get
Yeah.
there, when this happens, when,
Yeah.
when the dollars equal this, or when I have this, goal achieved. And you keep chasing it. It's like the carrot keeps moving and you just keep pushing
Yes.
and pushing and you forget that like
Yes.
it's happening. Like look around. For me, I always say like I started my company so I could have flexibility as a mom. Like that was it. I just
Yes.
wanted to be able to like go to my kids' school if they had a production or go volunteer or be room mom like only one. I was only room mom once. Be room mom one time. But I wanted the flexibility to do it and not have to be
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm sorry, I have to be at work. I can't be there. And
Yes.
and so often when things get off kilter in that sense, I know
And
that
they
like
do.
I need to, and they do, and they totally they do. I
Yes.
mean, like even today they do. But like
Yeah.
that means that I need to get back to like why in the world does it matter in the first place, and what does that look like?
Yes.
And if you stick to that thing that matters most from the beginning, no matter how much success you achieve or how many opportunities come your way, you're always like connected to your gut. And I think as
Yeah.
long as you do that, you're kind of sort of
Yeah.
going to like keep on the right track and be able to enjoy it along the way, which leads me to my next question. Let's talk about burnout, like
Yeah.
overwhelm. You and I are similar in that like you will not be outworked, and I'm the same
Yeah.
way. Like I
Yeah.
will outwork you a hundred times under the table, and like my problem is reminding myself to like fill the cup, take a breath,
Yep.
you know. And
Yep.
over the
Let's
years,
talk
I've
about that.
I've had to do it. So like, tell me about that. Have you ever gotten to a place where you're like, oh my gosh, all these wonderful things are happening, but like it's all these things. So how do you
Yes.
deal with that?
Oh my gosh, all the time. And I think honestly, like collectively, the world is in a place of burnout right now,
Oh
right? Like
yeah,
we're
yeah.
we are patiently waiting for the breakthrough.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really interesting, Emily, because I think about this often, especially for people like you and I. Like we've been connected for years. We've literally
Mm-hmm.
watched the journey of
Yeah,
each other over a decade.
yeah.
And there's definitely these seasons of hustle, but I think what happens is that becomes the standard, that becomes the norm. And I don't know, I do know this about you. I know this is true because it's true for both of us. For me, rest takes more work than work. And
Absolutely.
work is like my go-to. Like work is my thing. Like I just
Yeah.
get up and I do.
I can
Um,
control it, right?
yes, rest feels hard and
Mm-hmm.
it feels unnatural. And there's this chapter in my book called the Soul Shavasana because I used to do
Ooh,
yoga
yeah.
and I hated laying on the floor at the end. Like if it
Yes.
wouldn't have been rude, I would just get up and walk out.
Right. I used to do the same thing. Like, I gotta be somewhere.
Yes. Or I'm like, I'm going to sit here and think about my grocery list or like the 18 emails I forgot to send last night. And it
Mm-hmm.
was like, I couldn't even recognize that I had earned the right to rest and that rest doesn't need to be earned. It's a birthright. Like,
Right.
and so it's fascinating because I talk about in my book how like rest for me is like I have to train to rest because
Mm.
for so many years I used to just be like I operate at a higher level. I'm an achiever. I just do. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know how to rest, and I have had to consciously not just invite rest in, but like stay committed to it. It's
Yeah.
like the couch to 5K, but in reverse, because 5K is my autopilot. And I'm like, get me back to the couch. Give me back to the couch.
I feel this in my bones because I tried couch to
Yes.
5K so many times and
Oh,
I never
yes.
could do it. But
Yes.
like it's the reverse of like
Yeah.
you have to make it a practice. And I mean
Yes.
that the same can be said for any type of thing in your life. Like making it a priority is how you do it, you know?
Absolutely.
That's the only way. You have to absolutely make it a priority. And now a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp. Life can be overwhelming, and many people are burned out without even knowing it. I've been there before. In my younger days, I'd go 110% into every project. Before I knew it, I'd be stressed and snippy and completely overwhelmed. We associate burnout with work, but that's not the only cause. Any of our roles in life can lead us to feel burned out. That's why BetterHelp Online Therapy wants to remind you to prioritize yourself. Talking with someone can help you figure out what's causing stress in your life. Therapy is one of the best things I've ever done for myself. More than anything, it's helped me realize that sometimes life is messy, and it's good that it's messy. That's a big thing for a perfectionist, and BetterHelp is such a great tool for finding a great therapy match for yourself. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can be matched with a therapist in under 48 hours. My listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/simplified. That's betterhelp.com/simplified. Do you have a favorite comfort watch TV show? Like something you put on when you need the stress to melt away for a bit? Well, I found your next comfort listen, Girl Meets Farm, a podcast from Food Network that you guys are going to love. Girl Meets Farm is hosted by Molly Ye, who's always a ray of sunshine. She is a city girl married to a fifth-generation beet farmer, and she lives on the border between Minnesota and North Dakota. Molly cooks all kinds of delicious food inspired by her Chinese and Jewish heritage, with a little Midwest twist. Everything from grilled cheese with everything bagel seasoning to chicken pot stickers and even Brussels sprout and bacon hash. Girl Meets Farm is direct audio from the TV show, and y'all, this show is so sweet and fun. I love sitting at Molly's counter while you hear her mix, chop, and saute all the delicious food in her kitchen. And P.S., if you haven't made her tahini fudge pie, don't walk, but run to your nearest grocery store because that thing is crazy good. This is a good one, y'all. Listen to Girl Meets Farm on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. One of the things that you talk about that I think is so important is about having the right people around you, having like your team, your people in your corner. And as an author who's written an acknowledgement page, you know how many people are in your life and work and how vital each one of them is. So talk to me about who is in your camp and what they mean to you and how instrumental they are in your work and your life.
Okay, can we just say, if for anyone who's ever written a book, the acknowledgments are like the most daunting part of the entire process.
It really is.
I literally left it until like the last minute, and I'm not a last minute person because I'm like, the chances are that I'm going to forget somebody or something are so high, but I'm going to try anyways. It's really fascinating to me because especially working in careers that we work in, sometimes it can be really hard for people to understand what we do or why we do it.
Right.
And I think that I lived a portion of my life just assuming that people wouldn't get it. So I wouldn't even try to invite them in to the work that I was doing. And I feel like once I was blessed to become a mom, it really changed a lot for me because one, you need help. I mean, they say it takes a village and we need the village. And I really had to learn how to ask for help because for a long time, I was just white knuckling everything, right? Like I was just holding on for dear life for all the things that I'd built and holding to this belief that nobody could do it the way I could. Nobody could see it the way I could. And for me, what's been really interesting from a business standpoint, but also from a life standpoint, and these are 2 points that I want to make based on if you're an entrepreneur or not, is in the entrepreneurial world, I recognize that like I am the visionary, but the people that I invite in to do the work alongside me, they are the missionaries. They are the ones helping the mission come to life, having the impact that it does. And there's a line in the book where it's like, when you invite help into your life, it's like where 1 + 1 = 1,000,000, because I couldn't impact the lives I impact without a team helping me do that. So
Yeah.
that's one side of the coin. The other side of the coin is that when we don't ask for help and when we don't bring people into our community or invite them into our corner, sometimes people's deepest desire is to be the helper. It's almost like we're withholding the gift that they would love to bestow upon us. And I have a lot of helpers in my life, like Enneagram helpers, but also just helpers in general, where they're just waiting for that opportunity or that invitation to step in any way or in any capacity and use their gifts in that way.
Yeah.
And so I just want to encourage that. For me, it's my family, and I moved back home to northern Minnesota just to be near them. And we have to brave the awful cold, but it is worth it because the family is here. It's also inviting friends that are doing similar work, that are on parallel paths, because a lot of times you just feel like no one's going to understand. But when you find people who do understand, it is way less isolating of a journey. And then my team, I have a team of women and we walk through life together. And so, at any given moment, someone's pregnant, someone's on maternity leave, someone's dealing with a breakup and all of these things, but it's so beautiful because we get to do it together. And so, I went through a season where I couldn't even utter the words, I need help, until life forced me to. And when I was forced to, it was the most beautiful awakening. I went from that white knuckle grip to like my hands being opened of like, here's what's actually possible when you invite this into your world.
I think what's so beautiful about that too is like, we can take our dreams and our companies, if you will, we can take them so far.
Yeah.
I experienced this with Simplified. I could take it so far, but then bringing in people who are smarter than me and more talented than me, and like who brought they have their own unique, incredible gifts that I don't have, bringing them in. And the same can be said for life in and of itself. Like bringing those people in and the music and the beautiful things that you create together, it's so much more incredible than what I could have done on my own.
Absolutely.
But just like you, like, I got it. I can do all of this. It's fine.
Right.
Everything's fine.
Everything is fine.
Everything's fine. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Well, every entrepreneur remembers the moments that, they really like learned the most. And I'm cringing saying this because I can remember a few of my own, some of which had a few commas and dollar signs attached to it. But those moments are sometimes so painful, but so pivotal also. Like that's where we are forced to make big decisions, or, I mean, it's really where the rubber meets the road. So tell us, if you will, about one of your biggest mess up moments. What did you learn and how did you dust yourself off and keep moving forward instead of just giving up?
Yeah. So I have this one. I mean, I have a many.
Same.
But I have this one since we were talking about burnout. And it was my third year into my business as a photographer. And my vision, my big goal was 6 figures. And it just felt astronomical. Like being from the Midwest, like being even, breathing the word 6 figures felt like a curse word. And I remember the day that I hit it, and I was in my shower washing my hair with the same like Suave shampoo that I'd used every other time, thinking, this should feel different. Like, why are the angels not singing? Where is the confetti? I want the gold cellophane balloons that say 100K.
Where's my trophy?
Yes. Right. And I just remember standing there and thinking, gosh, I thought this would feel different. And I almost did this like check-in with myself, which I rarely did at that point in my career. And I was like, I am exhausted. Like I am so tired. I can't even enjoy what I'm earning. And I remember the next day, Drew came home from work and he was selling wine. He was basically stocking wine on shelves of grocery stores. And we sat down at this table and I pulled out the spreadsheet and I said, I'm going to tell you something. And I want you to just listen. And I said, I was happier when I made $50,000 a year. I was so much happier. I had weekends. I wasn't missing weddings. I wasn't missing time with my family. Like you and I did things like go to an apple orchard for fun. Like I was happier. And I was like, would you be okay if I drew a line in the sand and said, screw 6 figures. I want to go back to 50K because my life was better. And it was so wild because I kind of thought like, oh gosh, he's going to like push back on this. And it looked like he was relieved when I said that. Like, it was almost like I am living with a shell of the person I married because you're working so much. And it's fascinating because I cut back, like I drew a line in the sand and I was like, I will only work up until 50K. But in doing that, I unknowingly bought back my time. And it was the first time in my life where money was not my currency. And I think we all go through seasons where we're willing and we have to trade our time for money. But then there also comes seasons where we get to trade our hard-earned dollars to get back our time. And like time is life. And in cutting back, I got back my time. And in that time, I, one, became creative again, but two, I had the bandwidth to get quiet enough to say, what do I want to do? And it was in that year that I started to build the business that you now see today, a business that has the ultimate freedom of working anywhere in the world and doing work I love in my sweatpants and not being gone every weekend. And so it's fascinating because I think as a lesson, every single time that I've given myself margin and white space and, you know, time to explore and be curious and try new things, has been the times where I've pivoted successfully, and not just successfully to the outer world, but like pivoted successfully in a way that feels in alignment with what I say my values are.
That is so good and such a lesson. I mean, I had a similar experience in 2017 where we were carried in 800 stores around the world, and you know, it sounded so good. Like they're reading your bio, and you know, say you're going to speak somewhere, and they're like, "Simplified, carrying 800 stores around the world." Sounds so good. Living that was so painful, and I had this same exact situation where I went to Brian and I brought out the spreadsheet, and I was like, "I think we need to close our wholesale program," and it was 40% of our revenue, but in doing so, we closed that door, and it allowed so much margin, like you said, and white space to say like, why are we even doing this? It's not to connect with retailers who are going to connect with customers. It's to connect directly with the women we're impacting. And then the next year we doubled our revenue because we got focused.
See? Isn't that crazy? That's what happened
wild.
to me too, is I went back to 50K. Well, I ended up building $1 million company unknowingly and without even really trying, because I was back in alignment and I was done trading time for money, and I was back connected to my why, which had changed. We change, which is beautiful.
Okay. It's actually my next question is like, have you ever reached a point where your why has changed? And
1,000,000 times.
I feel like we don't give ourselves permission sometimes to like evolve. I'm turning 40 next year, and I've just been in this headspace this last few months of like, no, you are different than you were at 25 when you started this. You are a different woman. Your life has changed. Your responsibilities have changed. Your values have changed. And so, I don't know. I think there's something so freeing to be like, we're different now. And that's cool. That's okay.
I love that. There's this chapter in the book. And do you remember when we used to like sign yearbooks and be like, never change? And there was always this like underlying fear of like, if you change, will you still like me? If you change, will we still be friends? If you change, will this all make sense? And I close off that chapter and I'm like, if I could sign yearbooks now, I'd still have that cute little bubbly font that I used as my handwriting. But I would say like, I can't wait to see who you become. And it's a message that I want to give my children too, of like, no, like change and evolve. And, you know, for me, writing a book was the perfect segue of like, I have changed, because for years I said I would never do this. Like I
remember talking to you about this.
Yes. I was like, why would anybody do this? This is the longest project. And it's crazy because it's like my why has changed for so many years, and it keeps changing, and I keep changing, and I learn and I evolve. And like, even in writing a book that feels so permanent, right? Like you can't just edit it like a blog post in WordPress.
Right.
I have to really, relinquish the fact that 3 years from now, I might have a different idea or perspective. I might contradict myself. And I think that's beautiful. That's like the piece of evolution.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of times there's this idea of identity foreclosure. I learned this from Maya Shankar, who was on my podcast, where it's like, we hold on to things that are no longer serving us, just like our jeans that don't fit us any longer, because we think of these sunk costs. Like we look at I did 2 years of the degree and now I don't even want to go into the profession, but I've already wasted 2 years. So I might as well stick with it. And we do this with our own identities way too often, where we cling to well, I am known as the top wedding photographer. So if I'm not this any longer, who am I? It keeps us back from becoming, it holds us back. And so my why has changed so much. I think motherhood has been the biggest catalyst for my why shifting and really stepping into that. But there have been so many times in my journey where I'm like, wait a minute, this doesn't feel good anymore, or this doesn't feel like success. It might look like it, but it doesn't feel like it. And so what is success for me right now? And then how do I create a life around that?
Amen. Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that so much.
What if you could use science to discover more about your body? When you know more, you can do more. And you can find out what you need for your healthier tomorrow with Everlywell. Everlywell is digital healthcare designed for you, all at an affordable price. With over 30 at-home lab tests, you'll be able to choose a test that helps you get the answers you need, like the women's health test or the food sensitivity test. Here's how it works. Everlywell ships products straight to you with everything needed in one package. To take your at-home lab test, simply collect your sample and use the prepaid shipping label to mail your test back to a certified lab. Your physician-reviewed results get sent to your phone in just days. Guys, I am a huge fan of Everlywell. I've used 3 of their tests, the food sensitivity test, the women's health test, and the thyroid test. Each one was easy to do and gave me really detailed results. In fact, I shared my thyroid results with my primary care doctor, and she created a treatment plan that's helped me feel so much better. So start living your healthier tomorrow. Everlywell is giving my listeners a special discount of 20% off an at-home lab test at everlywell.com/simplified. That's everlywell.com/simplified for 20% off your next at-home lab test. everlywell.com/simplified.
If there's somebody listening right now who has a dream in her heart of some type and she's not sure if she wants to go after it or where to start, what would you tell her?
I would say take the micro many steps towards it and build your confidence and your belief in yourself in doing that. Don't set out to run the marathon, take the first step. I think a lot of times we don't even know where to begin because we don't trust ourselves in following through. And so build up that confidence that yes, you can do it. Yes, you will do it. That yes, you are going to go after it, and build up your confidence. That belief is going to carry you forward as you stay in alignment with who you are and what matters to you.
I love that. And I think building that belief is also like the thing you pull out of your pocket when it gets hard.
Yes.
Too.
Amen. It's like that candlelight vision. Someone is like, keep going. It's going to be beautiful. The view will be worth it. Just keep on going.
Keep going. Oh my gosh. I have loved this conversation so much. We love to do rapid fire at the end. So I have 3 questions for you and you just spit out whatever comes to your head. Okay.
Okay.
Who has been your most impactful teacher or mentor?
My mom.
Oh, I love that. That's good. Mine too. Moms are great.
Moms are great.
Moms are great. What time of day do you do your best work?
Ooh, 8:00 once Coco is off to school and the house is quiet.
Same here. First thing. Okay, so a note on this. I realized that my very best energy is at 8:00 in the morning when my kids are gone. And I decided to start putting that energy into myself instead of my work. And I
do red light therapy.
Yes.
I do that stuff first now instead of work right away. Same.
Right. Okay. But for years I was like, it's my best energy. It's my best time. I got to dive into my inbox. And just this year I was like, I'm going to flip this on its head and put that energy into me.
And it shifts
better
everything.
The rest of the day. Everything. I
Everything.
didn't want to
Aim with
believe
you.
working out would change my life, but here we are. They say that. So what is your favorite treat to reward yourself with
Oh my gosh.
after a job well done?
Are you ready for this? A
ready.
Dairy Queen dilly bar.
That's the most random and amazing thing I've ever
When
heard.
is the last time you had a dilly bar? I literally had one last night. So don't ask me that question. Drew
It
laughed at
sounds
me. I'll order a
delicious.
box of 6. And Coco had one yesterday and was running around the house like, Mom, can I have this? And I was like, that is mommy's treat.
That is mommy's popsicle. Thank you. Thank you very much. That's awesome. Oh my gosh, Jenna, tell everybody where they can find you, where they can get your book, everything.
Yeah, amazing. Well, find me online at Jenna Kutcher everywhere, jennakutcher.com, Instagram, Jenna Kutcher, spelled like Ashton. Unfortunately, no relation, though I think my husband is just as cute. And then the book is called How Are You Really? And you can get it at anywhere books are sold or go to howareyourreallybook.com. We have some fun bonuses there that you can snag when you order your copy to guide you on the journey. And thank you, Emily, for being on this path with me. It has been such a parallel journey, and just watching one another kind of go after it, change our minds, do different things, evolve. It's been such a blessing. So thank you for having me.
Right back at you. Right back at you. Your story inspires me so much, and your words are so very motivational to me. And so everybody go and check out Jenna's book. I am so excited to read it. As we close out this episode, I'd like to say a blessing for you as we leave this time together and get back to our days. May you live into the story our Creator is writing for you. May you link arms with your sisters and other siblings, lifting each other up along the way. May you forgive yourself for the missteps, the harsh words, the fear, and the moments of doubt. And as you plant and till and water, may you one day see and enjoy the fruits of the good work you're doing. As always, I like to leave a little tip to help you put what we've talked about today into practice. So here is your task for this week. Do you ever go into something 110% and find yourself burning out in, I don't know, like 24 hours? Don't worry, I've been there plenty of times myself. One of the reasons we burn out so quickly is because our goals are a bit too lofty, and we haven't quite learned to pace ourselves along the way. I was reading Jon Acuff's book called Finished, which is an amazing book, by the way, and Jon has the best advice for these moments. He says if you find yourself burning out a bit too quickly, start by cutting your goal in half. Yep, you heard me. Cut the goal in half. Because when the finish line is just a little bit closer, any progress you make feels like a larger achievement, and finishing feels way more within your grasp. So if you're burning out on whatever you're working on, try cutting your goal in half and see what happens to your progress. Thank you for listening to the Simplified podcast. I hope today's episode inspired you to chase after that dream in your heart. You can find show notes for this episode at emilylay.com/podcast, where you can check out links and resources I mentioned here, and you can shop the Simplified brand of planners and products. You can also watch my interview with Jenna over on my YouTube channel at youtube.com/simplified by Emily Lay, where you can check out other chats I've had with inspiring women like Morgan Harper-Nichols, Shauna Nyquist, Mallory Irvin, and so many more. And if you'd like to listen to the Simplified podcast ad-free and a little bit earlier, then you should check out the premium version of our show on Apple Podcasts. Just search for the Simplified podcast in the search bar and tap the blue thumbnail image with the pink pineapple. You can't miss it. And don't forget to pick up your copy of You're Always Enough and More Than I Hoped For right now, wherever you buy books. Before you go, I have a quick favor to ask. If you love this show, would you go to your podcast provider and leave a review? I want more people reaching for a life that's a bit more slow and sweet and good, and leaving a review helps your podcast provider get the show to more people who'll enjoy it. If you've left a review, thank you so much. Please know I've read your words and taken them to heart. And until next time, thanks for listening.